Hi, Dave Roscoe here. It is Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025, and I missed this yesterday, but I want to talk about Picoin now being purchasable on on-ramp money. And I've got something on the rumor mill that I want to talk about as well, which talks about a whale transfer of 6.5 million Pi to OKX and how it's causing something of a panic. But we'll talk about that. But first, the metrics. The anti-scammer bot stands at 7 wins, 2 losses. The circulating supply is 7.99 billion Pi. We're just a hair away from breaking the 8 billion Pi mark. There were no user accounts migrated yesterday. However, there was a burst of migrations about 5 hours ago, and it has since stopped, which is kind of weird. I don't know why that happens, but we see that every once in a while. There is currently 15.4 million Pi in the Pi migration wallet. Migrated unlocked rewards are at 2.67 billion Pi, with only 1.8 million Pi unlocked in the last 24 hours and now free to be traded on the open markets. Looking at the price action, the Pi coin is currently trading at 34 cents, which is up 1.63% from this time yesterday. Not quite the doom and gloom scenario that we were anticipating, but it could still happen. We don't know. But so far, it seems to be holding steady at 34 cents. The market cap is at $2.76 billion, which is up 0.99%. The daily trading volume is at $23.96 million, which is down 36.75% from this time yesterday. So not much to talk about with regards to price action. The fact that it's holding steady right now is something of a good sign, because the chart analysis session yesterday seemed to indicate that it was looking bearish and that it could drop to as low as 23 cents. Now, it could still happen, but the fact that it hasn't yet is a good sign. Now, with trading volume at 23 million, which is really low, and you can see that here, you got to be really careful. Big moves can happen when the volume's low, because it'll pick up and then it will move either up or down. And depending on what position you're in, you could get hurt. So you got to be really careful. It's always better to trade when everybody else is trading, because then your moves are hidden, right? Because the exchanges can see the order books. If you think that the exchanges are not gaming the system, then you shouldn't be trading crypto. The order books are visible to the exchanges. They're invisible. They're visible to the market makers, which means they're also invisible to the big institutions, and they will use that information to wreck you. So be very careful. And that is trading advice. I do apologize for missing this yesterday. I meant to include it, and then after I finished editing and releasing the video, I realized it was missing, and I figured I would just include it today because it's not that urgent, but it's good news. On-ramp money, which some of you may have realized is already in the Pi Network's KYB list, and it has been for a little while now, had been hinting all the last 2 weeks about the offering of Pi coin for purchase using fiat via the on-ramp money service. Now, in case you don't know what on-ramp money is, it's literally that. It's an on-ramp service that allows you to use fiat currency to purchase Pi and fund a Pi wallet. So this is yet one more way to create and activate a Pi wallet with purchased Pi, and you don't have to deal with the exchanges. Now, all of these companies have a fee, but for people who are wary of exchanges, this is a good option. And the on-ramp money is available in over 60 countries. So maybe it's available in yours. It's always a good thing to have options. There's no such thing as a one solution that fits all. Countries regulations, especially regarding crypto, are very, very tricky to navigate. So making it available to as many people as possible is what the Pi Core team's mission is. And this is how they do it. Mining was one way, but now that the coin is live, we have to continue that mission and make it available to more people who don't necessarily want to mine, or who don't want to mine and recruit people and try to boost up their mining rate, when they can just buy a large chunk of it for cash. This is a necessary thing, and it is a good thing. More positive news for the Pi network. Will it translate into better prices? I don't know. These types of things don't seem to be translating into positive price pressure, but I don't know why. And at some point, we are going to reach a critical mass, and there's not going to be any way to stop it, because there's a lot of really good news coming out about the Pi network, and it doesn't seem to be impacting price action at all. And that's very bizarre. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Now, from the rumor mill, the headline here reads, Pi network tightens supply with mining rate cut amid Pi coin sell-off. Now, I had listed this information as being part of the rumor mill. The rate cut is not a rumor. It's a fact. In August, the rate was cut by 8%, and it was cut again in September. So now it is the lowest it's ever been. So it's becoming less and less advantageous as a single miner to mine. If you're willing to put in the work and recruit and have your recruiting team mine, then maybe it's worth it. But while mining is still here, it's becoming less and less beneficial to do it. And I don't know what the future holds for mining. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. But we're going to get to the part that's the rumor in just a second here. Pi Network has implemented a fresh reduction in mining rewards in a bid to boost token scarcity. This coincided with a massive 6.5 million whale transfer to an exchange, indicating a move to sell those coins. That's the part that's a rumor. They post the partial wallet address in the article, but without a full wallet address, I can't confirm that this happened. Now, I don't know why they would make something like this up, but until I can prove it, I'm going to list this as a rumor. And if it is a rumor, you have to question why it's being put out there. And usually it's because they want to create some negative sentiment for the coin. But as soon as I can prove that this transaction is real, then we can put this rumor to bed. But until then, you have to take this as a rumor. In a recent post, the Times of Pi Network highlighted that the September base mining rate has been trimmed to 0.0027 Pi per hour. This reflects a 1.23% decline from August. At the current pace, it now takes more than 15 days to mine a single Pi without bonuses, while the yearly yield stands at just 24 Pi. Think about that. You press a button every day for 365 days, and you only earn 24 Pi. I will tell you, in the early days, I was earning more than 5 Pi per hour. And in even earlier days, I was making 11 Pi per hour. So to go to this rate, you can see how far down the mining rate has dropped. And at some point, it's just not going to be worth it, especially at the current prices. You could just buy a gob of Pi that would have taken you years to mine at this rate. So why would you do it? I'm not quite sure why they continue mining, except to support the legacy users. It doesn't seem to make any sense if you're trying to entice new users with the option of mining. It just doesn't seem like a viable option to me anymore, but it's still there. This adjustment follows Pi Network's sharper 8% cut in August. The rate dropped from 0.003 Pi per hour to 0.0027 Pi per hour, its lowest level since the project began. Reducing the number of tokens shows that the project has a controlled way of distributing them. This creates scarcity, making the mined tokens more valuable. Kind of. It doesn't do it in any real meaningful way because the knobs that they can turn as part of the mining calculation are limited. And all of that's published in the white paper. You can see exactly how the mining rate is calculated. And you can see that it's limited control. There is some control, but it's not great control. In other news, a whale just 3 hours ago moved 6.5 million pi to OKX, according to the Times of Pi Network. People in the community are taking notice of this. Although the transfer's motivations are still unknown, conjecture has grown about whether it could be a sign of a sell-off. Now, this is what I'm saying. This, to me, is rumor. Because if it happened hours ago, let's see when this article was posted. Right, so this article was posted 23 hours ago. Now, that's really convenient because when you take a look at PiScan, you don't see this transaction. So you can't directly prove it based on the size of the transaction itself. And they only post a partial wallet address. So the ability to confirm this is a bit limited. And I will try to confirm it, but right now this is squarely in the rumor mill. And if it is a rumor, it's a rumor designed to present negative sentiment about the Pi coin because it's creating a scare that this amount of Pi is now up for sale. This comes amid the downtrend in the Pi coin price. TradingView data shows that the altcoin is down over 3% in the last month. Meanwhile, the token has remained flat over the last 7 days, struggling to break above 40 cents. However, a positive is Pi Network's listing at On-Ramp Money, which allows customers in over 60 countries to buy Pi directly. The integration supports local payment methods. Additionally, it improves usability in areas where conventional exchanges are prohibited. Pi Network was recently announced as a gold sponsor at the upcoming Token 2049 conference in Singapore. They joined other prominent industry names such as Circle and CoinX. Founder Nicholas Kokolis is expected to make a public appearance. This followed his participation at CoinDesk's Consensus event earlier this year. On the technical front, Pi is preparing to roll out its version 23 protocol upgrade. The plan includes a KYC, Know Your Customer feature directly to the blockchain. Now that's wrong. They did not say at all that that was the plan. What they did say is that it opens up new possibilities for decentralizing KYC. So they didn't say that they were actually planning on doing anything. Maybe they were exploring their options. So that's a little bit wrong. This will improve user verification and make it easier to follow compliance rules. And again, that's not quite right. Being able to decentralize KYC and move it to the blockchain is great, but the Pi Network's KYC is more stringent than what's currently available. And they're doing that on purpose to stay ahead of what they perceive as possible regulatory hurdles that could be put in their path. They want to be positioned in front of it rather than trying to adapt after the fact. And there's no indication yet as to what extent this new feature will have on the Pi network and KYC. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, European exposure is expanding through Valor's launch of the first Pi exchange traded product, or ETP, on Sweden's Spotlight stock market, marking a new milestone in institutional recognition. Top Pi influencer Woody Lightyear also praised Pi's continuous efforts to bring the token to areas where the use of exchanges to purchase the token is restricted. Now, if anybody's on X, I'm sure you know who Woody Lightyear is. I follow him. I think he's got a solid head on his shoulders, and he usually makes a lot of sense. So if you don't follow him, you should. And that's all I'm going to read about that. But that's the rumor mill. So part of it's true, part of it's rumor, and we just have to see. Like I said, I'm going to try to verify that 6.5 million transaction, but until then, there's no need to panic about it. You know, these kinds of things are going to happen at some point. So That's all I've got for today. If anything breaks, I'll be sure to let you know. But until then, don't panic, stay the course, and remember, the success of the Pi Network begins with you. Pi to the moon. Peace.